If you've clicked on this video, you've struggled with goal setting like I have. I've set goals over the years and I've failed, and it's been disheartening, it's been demotivating, and really, and you end up not having the goal that you set. And the goal setting, the variety of goals that I've had in the past have been things like saving a certain amount of money or becoming more healthy or losing weight, those sort of things. So I want to share with you the ways I try to set goals lately that have become so much easier. It completely changes the way I look at goals from now on. And in fact, I don't actually set goals anymore, and I'll talk about what that is. I want to share that with you because if you've clicked on this, maybe you are also frustrated by the process, and maybe you're looking for some advice in that area. So I'm going to do this in 3 parts. So this one, I'm going to talk about the actual system that I use, and then I really want to dive into some examples of those systems. I'm going to do 2 more parts about those with 2 different, very, very important examples. With that, I want to get started into what is happening when we start to set goals. Now, what a goal really is a goal is like the end of the outcome that we're trying to achieve, and that's kind of how we try to set goals. So imagine, this is you or me, whoever, right? So this is us, right? And we are here today, and we want to get here tomorrow. And you could, imagine this is like climbing a mountain. So you're here today, and you're trying to get there tomorrow, and this is your goal. Right, this is the goal that you're trying to get to. So, obviously I'm simplifying this thing, but the path here is sometimes we think about it very simplistically. We might think the path is like this, but in fact the path could start off really steep, and then it kind of levels up, then it dips, then it levels up, and it dips, levels up, and so on, and then you hit your goal, which is kind of like climbing a mountain, right? So the path up the mountain is how we get to that goal. The issue that we often happen is we really, spend a lot of time thinking about this goal. And really, when we look at any media out there that are telling us about goals, and this is, end of the year is usually a time when people are really bombarding us with that kind of stuff, lose 10 pounds or earn more money or save $10,000 or whatever have you. They're really just focusing on this end goal over here. They're really not talking anything about how to get there other than buy their product, buy a new pair of shoes, or join their gym membership, or this, that, or the other, buy their finance planning program, and so on. That's the only method they tell you how to get there, and some of those actually can be good. But the issue is that this goal here is really the lag indicator, so lag. And what it means is it is something that happens after you've gone through a journey. It is not something that is clear how you get there, but you only know you've got there after you've gotten there after the journey. So that is why it's a lag indicator. So the lag indicator is like 10 pounds lost by June, or $10,000 savings, and so on. So when you have that in your bank, you know that I've achieved the goal, and that is why it's called a lag indicator. It happens at the end of the journey. So the piece that we miss, and this is where the first step I think we all fail, and I've definitely had this happen, especially with saving money, is I've failed on this journey over here, which is the lead indicator. The lead indicator is all of these things. The lead indicator is saying you need to, have a gradual, improvement over time. So this, this here is time. Okay. So as time is going through, the lead indicator tells you the gradual improvement with which you can get to towards your goals. So that's really the first thing I want to explain, is there's a difference between the lead indicator and the lag indicator, and often goal setting focuses on this lag indicator, which I think misses the point. And what is really important is to focus on this lead indicator. So how do you get to this lead indicator? And that is really what this video is about. And the way I would get to this lead indicator, and there's a variety of ways of goal setting. SMART goals is one, and PACT is the other. Now, I am a proponent of PACT goals, which is what I want to talk about today, but I'll quickly mention SMART goals there. SMART goals starts with really defining your goal very clearly. So this $10,000 or 10 pounds by a certain time and so on. Those are the things that SMART goals really help you define. But what it misses is the human component of it, right? So SMART goals are great if you're in an office and you're working on a project and you have a very, you've used SMART system to create, how to accomplish that project, where, more things are, they're much more kind of rational, logical situation. But human beings are typically irrational, illogical people, you and I. So that is where the emotional component comes in, which is where PACT goals are much more important. So what does PACT stand for? PACT stands for purposefulness, actionable, continuous, and trackable. Okay, so that's what PACT is: purposefulness, actionable, continuous, and trackable. And this is how I set my goals. I make a PACT goal for like my health and life in general. I make a PACT goal for relationships, so a relationship with my wife, relationship with our friends. I make a PACT goal for my work and career improvement and things like that. And if time permits, I make a PACT goal for hobbies. So at the end of the year, I come up with maybe 3 to 5 things that I track, which is where this trackable piece comes in, which is an outcome of my PACT goal setting. And I want to quickly talk about what this means, and then I'll get into more of this in future videos. So the first thing is purposefulness, and this is that human component that I was talking about. This is where you're really figuring out why this is important to you. Why do you need to get to that goal? Defining that purpose very clearly. And the next few steps come in that actually keep you in check, right? So if you decide your purposefulness is to, let's say you want to be financially independent in 1 year, and you decide that, if you define it clearly, let's say that is, you need to save $3 million. And let's say you have $5,000 in your bank today. Well, the actionable part of it is going to tell you that is not possible. So that makes you go back and change the purpose. And maybe you start with saying, well, maybe I just need to have 6 months of living expenses and savings first. Let's start with that, right? So that is really the benefit of this. So purposefulness is really getting back into the fundamental of why you're doing this, right? Why do you want to lose 10,000 pounds? Oh, sorry, not 10,000 pounds, 10 pounds by summer. What is the purpose behind that? Is it because you want to look good? Is it because you want to, there's, social media bombarding you with like how to be thin, which could be very unrealistic and really unsafe? Is it because your doctor told you about it in some way, shape, or form? Is it because of something else? Really getting down to that purpose is going to be really important, because that is going to fuel you going through the rest of the time as you're going through your goals. So that's the purposefulness part of it. And then next thing is actionable. So if you can have a purpose, but if it is not actionable, there's really no point in having that purpose. And that's the whole point of goal setting is, right? Like if you might want to say, I want to save world hunger. I want to eradicate world hunger. Great purpose to have, obviously, but unless you're somebody like Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg put together, you probably don't have the capacity or the action to do that. So the actionable keeps you honest. You need to be able to do something about that goal you have. Let's say you want to lose, let's say, I don't know, if you want to earn $10,000, but you do not have a job today, that's not actionable anymore. You cannot save $10,000 if you don't have a job today. So maybe the first step is how to get a job. That is maybe the purpose. You can redefine that purpose, right? So that is this thing. I think it keeps us honest, which is why I really like it so much. It keeps me honest, because I'm one of those people who will, if you let me, I'll come up with like 50 goals. and then I'm stuck, not able to do anything. And this really keeps me honest because I wanted to learn a new language, I wanted to do a whole bunch of other things. Then I realized that I cannot take action on all of those hobbies because there are some things that are in the core that I've figured out what my purpose is, and the action doesn't allow it. So I can be very honest and really come to terms with the finiteness, the finitude of life. So once you define the action, and the action here, let's say you're trying to save $10,000. That's your purpose. Whatever. So let's say you've defined the purpose really clearly. The action could be I need to save $200 a week, something like that. So that action is I need to set aside money from my paycheck automatically somewhere that it is going to go every week, every month, whenever you get paid, is that amount. So that could be the actionable part of it. Continuous. It needs to be something daily. And I would say this is the only flaw of PACT goals that I found. This PACT, I think, for me at least, it works really well when you have something that you can do every day. And when you have something that you only do once a week, I feel like I personally struggle to make that into a habit. So I struggle with this, but generally I can find something to do every day. So being healthy is one of those. I had set up a purpose that I wanted to be a healthy person. And the actionable thing was that I need to do some form of exercise every day, which is and I define what exercise is for me, right? So it could either be walking 10,000 steps. Again, it's a very specific goal, or it was going to the gym, or both. So continuous, meaning I could track every day. I could look at my watch and say, did I walk 10,000 steps? Did I get 10,000 steps, or did I go to the gym? So that was very easy for me to track, that being continuous. So now I don't even have to track it. It just comes automatic. I actually feel the days that I did not get exercise in my bones. I feel it there. So that's how it turns into a habit, which is what makes it turns it into autopilot almost for me, which is great. So that's continuous. And then trackable, just like that exercise goal, I can check the pedometer and see that I walked 10,000 steps, or I know that I went to the gym. So I can mark those pretty easily, yes. And the trackable piece, so when you get to this PACT thing, the T really goes to the month plan. So if you see my month planning video, I have when I plan a spread of my month, and I'll link it here, in my bullet journal, I have a section where I have some habits that I track, and that is what comes out of the PACT goals really is the T part of it. What have I decided to track? And it's some acronyms, and I put some dots on the grid, and then I cross them off as I've done them. So that's really how the PACT goal works. Now, a couple things about this. First is that I start the year with a PACT goal, but then halfway through the year, or if sooner sometimes, as I'm reflecting on the past month or the past several months, I can change the PACT goal and make a new one if it is not working for some reason. So in that way, I like that it is flexible, because you've tried it out, you've tried to make it actionable, continuous, trackable, and maybe something happened and you need to switch gears, you can change it. I like that about it. It keeps me honest, because then I have to go through a reflection process to decide that I need to make a change. So that's one. And then when something really turns into a habit, it really becomes automatic. I can remove that from my tracking list, so I'm tracking less, and it's now part of my routine, part of my personality, which is another good thing about PACT goals that I like. So that's the few main things that I would underline here. But the most important part, and I cannot stress this enough, is this purposefulness part of it. This is the most important step. This is the foundation of setting this goal. And I want to talk about this particular thing because everybody else is going to talk about the actionable, continuous, trackable pieces of it, because these are really very I guess logical, reasonable things to kind of talk about. But if you don't have a clear purpose, if you don't have if you've not thought about why behind your goal, you're gonna lose motivation. I have done that and I've lost motivation. So what I'm gonna do in the next couple of videos is talk about some very specific examples and really just talk about the purposefulness parts of those examples and how to get to that purpose. So if you decide you have a goal, let's say it's someone learning new languages, I'll really get down to how to find the purpose behind the language other than I want to learn a new language. So something that is as, I guess, simplistic as I want to learn a new language to like the why and the why and the why behind that, which will really fuel you, I think, because it fuels me when I am faced with a new goal that I'm having to decide whether I should do it or not. And I'm trying to, take my limited amount of time to do them. So that's what I'll focus on the next few videos. I hope this helps. Again, I mentioned I talk about the PACT goal in my month plan video where you can kind of see how I implement it on a monthly basis. So hopefully that helps. But obviously, maybe I didn't connect the dots easily enough, but the trackable piece is your lead indicator, right? So that's maybe a piece I missed here, is what you track here is your distance towards the top of your goal, where your goal is supposed to be. And that's a lead indicator, which is why I like that, because once you know you're just doing the trackable part and you're very clear about your purpose, you don't have to worry about reaching your goal as much as you're just keeping track of your lead indicator. Now, it can happen that maybe you were new at setting this goal and you got halfway to the goal, but that tells you something about yourself or about your goal or about your purpose, and you can reset that goal in the future. But what you don't end up with is frustrated that you couldn't reach your goal, disappointed, dejected, feeling bad about yourself as if something's wrong with you or anything like that, which is not the case. So I find this is the kindest way to go through goal setting. And really, you're not setting goals here. You're really setting habits, which is, I think, the much better way of going through that time and phase in life when you're trying to make a major change. With that, I'll leave you here and I'll see you in the next video where I talk about the examples. Thank you.